I came, I saw, I conquered. The die is cast. Cowards die many times before their deaths. The valiant never taste of death but once. It is better to create than to learn. Creating is the essence of life. Experience is the teacher of all things. Men willingly believe what they wish. If you must break the law, do it to seize power. In all other cases, observe it. Which death is preferable to every other? The unexpected. I love the name of honor more than I fear death. In war, events of importance are the result of trivial causes. I had rather be first in a village than second at Rome. As a rule, men worry more about what they can't see than about what they can. What we wish, we readily believe, and what we ourselves think, we imagine others think also. Divide and conquer. The fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. It is not these well-fed, long-haired men that I fear, but the pale and the hungry-looking. Arms and laws do not flourish together. Let the dice fly high. Caesar's wife must be above suspicion. A coward is much more exposed to quarrels than a man of spirit. Fortune, which has a great deal of power in other matters, but especially in war, can bring about great changes in a situation through very slight forces. No one is so brave that he is not disturbed by something unexpected. In extreme danger, fear feels no shame. To win by strategy is no less the role of a general than to win by arms. Wine and women bring sorrow to great men. Avoid an unusual and unfamiliar route unless it leads to a decisive result. The greatest enemy will hide in the last place you would ever look. It is easier to find men who will volunteer to die than to find those who are willing to endure pain with patience. I have lived long enough both in years and in accomplishments. Nothing is so strongly fortified that it cannot be taken with money. In battle, mere numbers are not sufficient to guarantee victory. The will of the people is the foundation of a state. He conquers twice who shows mercy to the conquered. In matters of war, delay is dangerous. There is a tide in the affairs of men which, taken at the flood, leads on to fortune. I came to Rome not to argue but to rule. Those who lie in wait are not always weaker, only more patient. A single blow of the sword should suffice where 1,000 words fail. Victory loves preparation. Let me have men about me that are fat, sleek-headed men, and such as sleep o' nights. There is no armor against fate. My enemies tried to kill me with a dagger, but history has carved their names in shame. He who hesitates is lost. In politics, perception is often more powerful than reality. So let it be with Caesar. Better to suffer once than to live in fear daily. The sword once drawn must not return to its sheath until victory is won. You only truly lose when you surrender your ambition. Even the strongest oak bows to the storm, not from weakness, but wisdom. Greatness is a burden the ambitious must bear. Power is not seized. It is assumed by those bold enough to act. I did not cross the Rubicon for peace. I crossed it to change the world. Let others debate law. I shall shape destiny. A sword in silence is worth more than 10,000 empty speeches. When Rome whispered, I listened. When she cried, I marched. There is no crime in ambition if your cause is Rome. My enemies feared my rise, yet it was their fear that raised me. A lion does not ask permission to roar. History does not remember the careful, it remembers the victorious. Brutus struck with a blade, the Senate struck with silence. You may stab my body, but not my name. The crowd cheers conquest. It never questions how it was won. The Senate feared a king. I feared a weak republic. Let it be written, I made Rome greater, not gentler. Every dagger pointed at me only sharpened my legacy. To be loved is to be praised in silence. To be feared is to be obeyed in noise. Great men do not wait for opportunity, they build it. If the gods favored humility, they would not bless conquest. Loyalty is loudest when temptation is near. A crown is not given, it is taken, one act at a time. The battlefield teaches what the Senate never can. A ruler must master both the tongue and the sword. Justice without strength is mockery. A tyrant fears truth. A true leader controls it. If destiny made me a tyrant, then it also made me necessary. They feared I wanted too much, but I merely claimed what they left unguarded. Nothing grows in a stagnant republic, least of all greatness. The people followed me not because I promised peace, but because I promised Rome. My fall was not from pride. It was from rising too far, too fast. To outlive your assassins in memory is the final revenge. I trusted Brutus because I saw myself in him. That was my gravest mistake. I would rather die the architect of empire than the servant of tradition. Let men call it arrogance. I call it destiny. Rome needed a storm. I became it. One lifetime is enough if you live like Caesar. Conspiracy is the currency of the weak. I measured loyalty by the silence that followed betrayal. My victories were not forged in war, but in the minds of the masses. A leader must be part lion, part shadow. You cannot appease the jealous with kindness. They only respond to power. A man who fears death dies many times. I chose to die only once, and memorably. The Republic died long before I arrived. I merely gave it a name. I gave them bread. They gave me praise. I gave them order. They gave me daggers. Fear is a poor substitute for respect, but it is reliable. Even gods are forgotten if they fail to conquer. Rome may bury my body, but it will carry my echo forever. A man should be measured not by his death, but by what rises from it. The glory of Caesar was not in survival. It was in defiance. You may assassinate a man, but you cannot assassinate an idea. Let my life be a lesson. The greatest power lies in daring to be more than ordinary.